The Disc Golf Pro Tour Match Play closes the disc golf season. Thankfully, payouts wasn't a discussion, but it almost was. Gannon shines in a podcast, Tour Down Under roster and sponsorships begin to take shape with maybe a surprise star in the works and really not that much more. Seriously, not much more at all this week in disc golf. Now, most of you guys may know me by now, but for the few that don't, they call me Swiss cheese because of all the holes in my game, but most importantly, I'm just one half of the disc golf world. Believe it or not, there's only two of us pumping out the fastest and hardest hitting professional disc golf content on the YouTube airwaves. And if you guys don't know us by now, we're the ones that don't have time to sugarcoat the off-season news with performative and fake speculation discussions just like the other guys. Instead, deliver it when we hear it and most importantly, can confirm it. You guys are currently watching This Week in Disc Golf, the show where I cover all things disc golf from the past week. I want to take a quick moment to thank all the Patreon members, especially all the new subscribers that have jumped on recently. Your contributions continue to help grow the channel, even if you've only subscribed for the even more or less filtered content, with some of our off-season news hits earlier than our standard vids. Now, it might be a short one, so let's just dive in already, as this week may have featured the crowning of Match Play champions, its lack of post-produced coverage, Holland's gun show that made most of us feel inadequate, and just about everyone's opinion on how to change it for next year. That's if there is one. But fortunately for the tour, what was avoided was any chatter surrounding the payouts for the event, as they dodged a bullet by correcting the payout structure to what was initially advertised to the players at the beginning of the Match Play format. I say correcting because the sounds of it, they did try to make it lower. Keep in mind, this event was 2 weeks after the Tour Championship that had most pros actually needing to travel back with flights into the Charlotte area to attend. One even being a replacement, Chris Dickerson, who joined the event for new Papa Isaac Robinson, who welcomed Jedediah to the world. Congratulations, by the way, goes out to all the Robinson family on the new addition, and future one, as another Robinson bro is expected one on his own this winter. But in the lead up to the event, players were informed of a possible restructuring of the payouts that certainly didn't seem to be well received, as it needed to be reverted back. And if you don't believe me, here's Ezra's brief mentioning of it that was completely glazed over on the Tour Life interview.
$15,000. I think a lot of us were pretty surprised with the payout there. Were you guys first off told what the payouts were leading into it?
I didn't see that originally. Apparently, I think Jeff at the DGPT had sent out a payout mock-up back in, I don't know, when they first announced it.
Okay.
On the Match Play. And then the week of, it actually changed, but I didn't see the original, so I didn't know it changed. But it was still 15 for first, and then it was like 7 for second, and then 4 and 3 for fourth and third. Okay. So it dropped significantly. And then I think there was some pushback on that. And then they changed it Saturday back up to what it is now.
Now, this was one intelligent move by the tour, even if it was a costly one. Because the reality of a lowered payout structure following right after the championship cash payouts as a whole going down from the year prior would have been more detrimental to the brand's end of the season. Even more so as it was agreed on in principle by the players prior to the event beginning months earlier. Now, despite avoiding the conflict and the all but certain speculation of the viability of the tour that would follow, certainly brings some questions of its own though. However, even the effort to adjust the totals whatsoever does show the continued downward trend in professional disc golf that many who have skin in the game affectionately continue to refer to it as simply the COVID boom resettling of the market. A quote resettling that has now happened for years and further acknowledged to be continuing into the next season with the speculation surrounding this offseason, with anticipated player contract offers or the lack thereof, and possible brand sales or looming bankruptcies. But hey, we're just the negative ones, right? Nothing to see here, even if it has been multiple years. So if you want, just take it with a grain of salt so you can feel better about where our sport lies. This week also saw one of the best Gannon Buhr podcast interviews of the season. Buhr never shy to hop on any podcast that will have him shine on the All Birdies No Bogeys podcast over on Jomez. And in my opinion, it was the best by far, in large part because of the careful directing by Brian Earhart and death row turtleneck rockin' Nate Perkins that allowed Gannon's disc golf acumen to be highlighted. Gannon covered a number of topics outside the popular cut of disc selection that most of you still are nerding out on. sharing some of the topics that all pros converse on the course or during off time. Things like how to challenge pros more so than just by adding distance.
I think it'd be kind of cool to start designing courses where, you don't really see it yet, but you have more extreme angles and stuff like that. So, a lot of. I'm not a huge fan of
all about
par
your hazard Mando idea, Gannon.
Yeah, the hazard Mando,
and even tempo.
I might only be 300 feet away, but I need like a big skip. I need to fight the wind better. I need a much further right finish. Where out there like a driver forehand instead of like in the past, I would be ripping like an MD5 really hard slow speed. You can just do so much more when you throw, like a driver nose up. You can get to go about 250 and then have a crazy dump, almost backwards finish. So I think like stuff like that requiring you to down tempo on really high speed discs with less spin and more nose angle. In terms of, instead of like the basic, just like mid-range hole, it'd be actually a driver hole thrown soft. We don't see that ever.
While diving deep into course and hole design and what he envisions is the best to grow disc golf pro tour, though most of you may not like to hear it.
To grow the pro tour scene, I think we need more spectators. That's the bottom line. I don't think anything else really matters that much. It's all about the people. Once you get the people out there, everything else in terms of revenue, I think will go up. Even if it's taken, I feel like, one step back to take 2 steps forward. That's just my personal opinion. As much as I love woods golf, and it's going to be great for casual use to grow the pro tour and get viewership out there and get big sponsors, I think it needs to be out more in the open. People want to see the disc fly really far.
Don't get me wrong, no one really wants to lose wooded disc golf, and even I can't argue that shot shaping in the woods has more impact on the eyes of people new to the game than an open course does. But so does the optics of butts in the seats or fans in attendance, something we witnessed at just this last World Championship. But maybe by adjusting our perceptions as viewers for what's best for not only their viewership, but those outside of the sport needs to be even more of a focus, including the perception that sport needs scoring closer to par like golf, a common complaint we continue to hear year after year. Instead, there's a need to focus on the pro courses being scoreable and, even more crucial, holes with actual scoring separation than just trying to keep the scores as low as possible.
Designing courses around your conditions is another tough one because I think a course needs to be scoreable. I don't like courses that are too hard based on the conditions. So I think, disc golf is always going to be easier to score and shoot more under par. And I think that's just is what the game is. Like we see like with bowling and darts, like people are going for perfection. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Through the entire interview, one thing became more and more apparent is the need for even more pro input on the game to carry the sport to further heights, just like our past has already shown. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out the podcast because it's one stellar one. Those of you that are in need of your disc golf fix, luckily for us, every winter is the Tour Down Under, as this week highlighted some announcements to that tour also. The 5-week tour, showcasing 4 events, has grown every year and appears to be no different with the upcoming 2026 tour. First, with the announcement that both Discraft and OTB will be partnering up to sponsor the Australasian Open, the landmark event of the entire tour season, which is always held at the renowned Spa Park Disc Golf Course in Tapio, New Zealand. Discraft and OTB's partnership has already been growing globally, especially in Europe. And this latest partnership now further shows their intentions to not only get their brand's exposure in expanded markets, but most importantly, also grow the sport globally. But the announcements haven't stopped there as players joined in this week also. 5-time world champion Paige Pierce will join the tour along with Kat Merch, making her first trip this year also, along with returning pros Taylor Chosick and Sophia Donica. The MPO has far more limited announcement at this time with only Bradley Williams on the list thus far. But there was also one giant tease that just might get disc golf Kiwis and everyone who's looking to consume pro disc golf over the winter that much more excited for the upcoming events.
I've always kind of started the season off rough, and I think I'm just rusty from not playing and being in Iowa. So it's like maybe I go to New Zealand and get warmed up a little bit. The only thing that's stopping me from thinking that way is I want to make sure I'm, peaking at the right time. I want to make sure I'm playing my best, right around the mid-season, that when all the big tournaments are, like the Worlds and stuff like that. So, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet.
Landing Gannon would certainly turn some heads and would be the largest name the Tour Down Under would have ever landed, which could take this event to even further heights. We're talking about the #1 player in the world and one of the most recognizable pros in the game. If the Tour Down Under can land him, I'm certainly excited for this upcoming winter, as should you. Now let's get into a few quick hitters that doesn't involve a Luna Battle Pack, because there is already enough of that. FPO just got stronger with another young talented player entering the pro field, as 14-year-old MJ Gadger decided to accept cash this last weekend. MJ is a former Junior Worlds and USWDGC winner, enjoys a young talent pool that has made waves this past season. KT Tati said yes while on the beach. Congratulations goes out to them. And there's even more to celebrate with the Rathbuns' latest announcement of a new baby boy on the way to be welcomed later this year. Simon Lazat's offseason schedule includes him practicing to be a barista with latte art. Casey White caught a concert and a Thursday night Pats game. Evelina Salonen visits Dubai, while Avery Jenkins, Joey Tamale, the whole Macbeth Foundation, and others made their way to Uganda for the African Disc Golf Summit. Scott Stokely was awarded Guts Promoter of the Year, and it didn't come with a piece of the aggro crag. Some sick trophies and an even better looking hat on this podium showcase. Frolf was even mentioned on the Toss Show, with volleyball Olympian Phil Dowhauser commenting on how he enjoys the game. And Ben Kenny's made a new friend, Beef Burglar, playing some video games. And guys, that wraps up this week in disc golf. I want to shout out to everyone on the Patreon once again, and all of you guys who have stayed this long for me to thank also. And if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to do so. It's the backbone to our channel, and if you haven't already, hit that like button, comment, and share.